Um, so, here's a good theory. Sorry about that. Here is a good theory. As you can see in the title of the video, we're all human beings under God's care before the creation of the world. Were we all, us human beings, to ever have lived, to ever will live, God has already created everybody. He's already created, he created everybody at the same time. Everybody, he just decided when to put them into existence. They were already created. We were already created. In the future now, before they are even born, they still exist. Otherwise, how would God know us before we were in our mother's womb? Because he knows about us, because he creates us. He created us. You can only know somebody after they exist. So everybody already exists. It's whether or not it's in this world yet, whether or not they've been born into this world yet. I existed before I was even born, before I was even in my mother's womb, before I was even made. Here's a good theory right here. What if every single person, past, present, and future, to have ever lived was in heaven, all at the same time, under God's care? What if, because you know there's a saying, right? There's a saying that priests and pastors use, he returned home to heaven. He returned. The word return, what is the definition of return? To go back to somewhere that you've been before. That's the definition of return. To return home. To go home. So our real home is not here, it's in heaven. So to return to a place that we've already been to. So if that's a really good question right there, because it says in the Bible, God knew about us before we were even in our mother's womb, and then it came to a realization theory of mine that what if everybody, past, present, and future, was in heaven all at the same time? That makes sense, right? Under God's care, just living with God in heaven. What if he created all human beings, and then before we were born into the world, we were in heaven? But he wiped our memories of him and his existence and stuff like that. So we can't remember anything before we were born. We can't. But what if that's the case? And then when the saved returns to heaven, when we return to heaven, and yes, I'm talking about us being in heaven before we were all born. So we were in fact sinless, because this even before Adam and Eve were on earth. So it doesn't say in the Bible, but what happens if that's just if it's something that wasn't added into the Bible? You know, it's a good. Otherwise, how would he know about us before we were in our mother's womb? Unless he means that he knew about us because he knew that he was going to create us, or he knows us because he could see the future. I don't know, but so what happens if that's the case? Our memory was erased when we went to earth, came down to earth, and when we return to heaven, the saved returns to heaven, we just see God as we did, like when we were in heaven with him, and it's only been like a few minutes or something like that since we last saw him, as soon as we arrived to heaven. So what if we've already seen God the Father? Because we've been living with him in heaven before being put onto this earth. Now, this is just a theory. I don't know for sure if this is true or not. It's just a theory. But if that's the case, then we would already... That's just an awesome theory. I mean, I don't know for sure if this is true or not. I've heard this from people, and then I came into more detailed realization of this theory. That, like, if that's the case, and our memory was wiped of it, because obviously I can't remember being in heaven. I mean, and if we were, was it before Satan fell? I mean, did we know Satan? Did we know Lucifer? Was he nice to us or something like that? Because he was created as a perfect angel. He was perfect when he was created, but later on, they all had free will, and he decided to choose to rebel against God. But he was created perfect. If he was evil as soon as he was created, that would mean right there that God is the creator of evil. And that's absolutely absurd, because God is not. That would make God evil. And if he created evil, how can God create evil if he's perfect, right? I mean, that's absolutely absurd, right? So Satan was a perfect, holy angel upon creation. He loved God and everything, but then later on he rebelled against God. I think he got jealous of God's power or something like that, and like he didn't like his position as an archangel. So he decided to try to fake being God, like tell a third of the angels that he was God. And they believed him with their own free will too. And then a war broke out in heaven. Satan and a third of the angels on his side, and then God and his angels on God's side. Like a war. Maybe this, I don't know for sure if this theory of mine is real. Now, the story of Lucifer, that's real. That is completely real. But the theory that I'm talking about when we were all once in heaven under God's care, I don't know about that for sure. Maybe, I think it actually does really mean that he actually knew about us before we even are in our mother's womb, because he can see the future. He can see the future. So I think that's probably what it means. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And see you next time.